Welcome back to the deep dive. If you've been tracking the tech world, or maybe just catching glimpses of financial headlines, you've almost certainly heard the buzz around QuantumScape.
Oh, yeah.
We've seen their stock described as skyrocketing, with an extraordinarily compelling risk-reward profile. It definitely sounds like a moonshot, but what's really happening on the ground?
It certainly captures attention, doesn't it? And look, the potential upside is legitimate. You can see why people get excited. But to really understand this company, you really have to peel back the layers and look beyond those headlines.
Absolutely. So let's unpack this. Today, we're taking a deep dive into QuantumScape, the company aiming to, well, revolutionize battery technology.
Big goal.
Huge goal. Our mission here is to cut through the hype and truly understand their reality, the technology, their progress, financial health, those crucial strategic partnerships, and importantly, the significant risks and opportunities ahead.
Yeah, and for this deep dive, we're drawing insights from a few key places. There's a recent YouTube analysis we looked at, QuantumScape's own Q1 2025 SEC Form 10Q filing, that's the official stuff, and also their latest Q1 2025 shareholder letter.
So a good mix.
Right. These sources give us a pretty comprehensive picture, really, of where QuantumScape stands right now.
Okay, so let's zoom out a bit first. Give us the big picture on QuantumScape's journey. They were founded back in 2010, right?
That's right, 2010.
And then they became a publicly traded company on the New York Stock Exchange, ticker QS, in 2020. That was through a SPAC deal.
Yeah, Special Purpose Acquisition Company. It was a popular route for a while there.
A quicker way to go public, essentially,
Yeah.
and their core business, it's all about developing and commercializing these solid-state lithium-metal batteries.
And what's absolutely critical for you, the listener, to grasp right away is that QuantumScape is still very much a development stage company. I mean, really development stage.
Meaning no actual sales yet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
As of March 34, 2025, they haven't generated any revenue from their main business activities. Zero.
Wow.
And in fact, they've accumulated a pretty significant deficit. We're talking approximately $3.5 billion since they started, right through to the end of March 2025.
$3.5 billion.
Yeah. And they expect to keep incurring significant expenses and continuing losses for the foreseeable future, which, isn't totally unusual for a company developing such foundational tech, but it's a big number.
That $3.5 billion deficit really just underscores the sheer scale of investment needed for this kind of deep tech. From your perspective, what's the biggest challenge operating like that as a public company? Managing expectations.
It's got to be navigating that long runway to actually selling something to commercialization,
Right.
while constantly needing to show progress, real tangible progress to keep investors confident.
Right.
It demands really careful capital management and super clear communication about hitting milestones, especially since you don't have that traditional revenue cushion yet, which actually brings us nicely to their key relationship.
Volkswagen.
Exactly. The Volkswagen Group and PowerCo. VW Group is a major related party stockholder. They held roughly 26.2% of QuantumScape's voting interest as of March 31st this year.
So Volkswagen is really their anchor partner. What makes this collaboration with PowerCo, VW's battery manufacturing arm, so critical for QuantumScape's whole strategy?
Oh, it's fundamental. Absolutely fundamental. They signed this PowerCo collaboration agreement back in July 2024, the explicit goal to industrialize QuantumScape's first planned product, which they call the QSE-5 technology.
Okay.
And the aim is to eventually get to a future non-exclusive royalty-bearing IP license agreement. What's particularly interesting here, though, is that this new licensing setup actually replaces an older plan for a joint venture.
Ah, so change in structure. Why does that matter?
Well, this shift is expected to mean lower costs and lower capital requirements for QuantumScape. And for a development stage company burning cash like they are, that's potentially a huge de-risking factor. Less upfront cash needed.
Lower costs and capital needs for a company that's already, $3.5 billion in. That has to be a welcome change.
Definitely.
So what's actually powering this whole ambitious vision, it comes down to the tech itself, right? These solid-state lithium-metal batteries.
That's the core promise.
They're designed to offer greater energy density, more power in the same space, faster charging, and better safety compared to the lithium-ion batteries we all use today. That combo is often called the holy grail of battery tech. Can you break down why hitting all three of those together is just so incredibly difficult?
It's incredibly challenging because you're often trading one thing off against another. Like greater energy density usually means packing materials tighter, which can stress them out, make them less stable maybe.
Right.
Faster charging generates more heat, which can degrade the battery over time. And enhancing safety usually involves getting rid of flammable liquid electrolytes, which is what solid state aims for, but finding the right solid material that also conducts ions well.
Yeah, that's tough.
QuantumScape's unique anode-free architecture is their, well, fascinating approach to trying to crack all these problems at once.
Tell me more about that anode-free innovation. It sounds like a really fundamental shift from how batteries are normally built.
It truly is. It's pretty clever. What's fascinating is that the lithium metal anode isn't manufactured separately and then put into the battery cell, like in conventional batteries.
Okay.
Instead, it's formed in situ, basically, and placed during the very first charge of the cell. It draws lithium ions from the cathode material to create the anode right there.
So they don't even make an anode beforehand.
Nope. This anode-free design, it's not just about potentially saving costs, though that's a big part. You eliminate the whole anode bill of materials and manufacturing step. It fundamentally rewrites how you build a battery.
Huh.
Think about it. You're not assembling a pre-made anode. You're essentially growing it inside the cell, right when it's needed. It simplifies production quite radically and could slash a major component cost.
That's a serious engineering feat, if it works at scale. And it could lead to that meaningful cost of goods sold COGS advantage they talk about.
Potentially, yes.
And their first product aiming to use this, the QSE5, it highlights this potential. The specs they released for the B sample, their more advanced prototype, are pretty impressive on paper.
They are. We're talking approximately 5 amp hours of capacity, which is,
Mhm.
a decent size for a cell, and energy density over 800 watt hours per liter.
Which is high.
Very high. And a fast charging capability getting from 10% to 80% charged in less than 15 minutes.
That 800 wall AHL figure, that really jumps out. To give some context, that kind of energy packing could mean significantly longer range for EVs without making the battery pack bigger or heavier. That would be a major breakthrough if they can scale it reliably and affordably.
Absolutely. That's the dream combination for EVs, isn't it? Longer range and super fast charging. That's what you need to really compete head-on with gasoline cars on convenience.
Exactly. Now, how are they actually turning these lab ideas into something you can manufacture consistently? Let's look at their manufacturing processes. They talk about Raptor and Cobra.
Right.
Raptor is described as their current workhorse separator process. Apparently, it's exceeding their internal benchmarks for yield and quality, and it's what's currently powering the cells they're shipping to customers for testing.
So Raptor is working now, delivering the goods for these early samples, which naturally leads to the question, okay, what's next after the workhorse?
Cobra.
Cobra. That's QuantumScape's label for their step-change innovation in the ceramics processing the separator is the key component here. It's expected to deliver, and this is their term, an order of magnitude improvement in separator productivity compared to Raptor.
An order of magnitude, so like 10 times faster or more efficient.
Something like that, yes.
Yeah.
A massive jump in throughput. And what's notable from their recent updates is that Cobra is apparently ahead of schedule. They expect to bring it into baseline production in Q2 2025, so very soon.
Ahead of schedule is always good to hear in this space.
It is. It shows they're executing on their internal timelines, which definitely helps with management credibility, especially given the long road ahead.
What do you think are the biggest hurdles they've likely overcome to get Cobra moving faster than planned? Manufacturing these ceramic separators consistently must be tricky.
Oh, incredibly tricky. That transition from making perfect little samples in the lab to churning out large sheets of this material consistently, reliably, meeting tough automotive specs for durability and performance, doing it at speed with high yield. That is where so many promising battery technologies just fall down.
The scaling challenge.
Precisely. Getting Cobra to this stage suggests they are making real progress on solving some of those fundamental scaling problems, at least for this critical component. So, okay, how do these manufacturing improvements translate into getting products out there? Let's trace that development journey.
Right. So QuantumScape shipped their first sort of early stage A prototype cells to multiple OEMs, that's original equipment manufacturers, your big car makers, mostly for testing back in 2022.
Okay, first contact.
Then, by 2024, they started producing and shipping low volumes of their first B sample cells, the QSE5 we mentioned, also for automotive customer testing, getting more advanced.
And then very recently, in Q1 2025, they started shipping these QSE5 samples to a specific prospective launch customer. This sounds more serious.
It does, and it's for module and systems level integration and testing. That includes calibrating the battery management system, the BMS. My understanding is that's crucial for the battery to actually work properly and safely in a vehicle, right? It's the brain coordinating things.
You're absolutely right. The BMS is critical. It monitors temperature, voltage, current, state of charge. It basically makes sure the battery operates within safe limits and performs optimally. Getting that calibration right with the vehicle's systems is a huge integration step.
So this low volume, high visibility program, as they call it, is aimed at a real world vehicle demonstration. They're targeting field testing actual cars on roads to begin in 2026.
2026. Still a ways off, but a concrete target.
And their pilot line in San Jose is central to all this, isn't it?
Absolutely. That pilot line is doing several crucial things. It's making the separators and cells they need for their own internal R&D. It's producing the samples going out to customers like that prospective launch partner. It serves as the testbed for refining those manufacturing processes like Raptor and now Cobra. And it's supporting the initial QSE-5 production and the activities needed to eventually transfer that technology to larger scale manufacturing, like with PowerCo.
So it's the hub.
It really is the nerve center right now, but
Yeah.
they know they can't do it all alone, especially the scaling part.
Right. So beyond PowerCo, their main anchor customer, QuantumScape is actively trying to expand its ecosystem. They're working with other car manufacturers through these sampling agreements.
Diversifying their customer base or potential customer base?
Yeah, and digging a global network of partners.
Yep.
One interesting one they mentioned exploring is a collaboration with Murata Manufacturing.
Oh, Murata.
Hmm.
They're a huge player, a world leader in ceramic materials and components. That makes sense.
Exactly. Teaming up on ceramics production could potentially accelerate the industrialization, spread the load, leverage Murata's deep expertise in mass-producing ceramics,
That feels like a smart move, aligning with their overall strategic blueprint.
which aims for global commercialization using a business model that's resilient to different global trade situations, mainly through partnerships and licensing.
Right. They seem to be exploring different paths simultaneously.
Yeah.
Maybe some solo-owned manufacturing down the line, joint ventures perhaps, and definitely this licensing model with PowerCo. Each has its own set of risks and trade-offs, of course.
It really makes you appreciate the sheer audacity, the complexity involved in trying to revolutionize an entire industry like battery manufacturing. It's so established.
It is. And with that potential high reward we talked about, it's absolutely critical we ground ourselves now in the significant risks. Let's talk financials and the hurdles they still face.
Okay, the reality check.
So as of March 31st, 2025, the end of Q1, QuantumScape had about $860.3 million in cash and marketable securities on hand.
Still a decent chunk of change, but
But they are burning through it.
Mhm.
They reported a net loss for Q1 2025 of $114.4 million. Despite that burn rate, though, they are maintaining their guidance that their current cash runway extends into the second half of 2028.
Okay, so they believe they have enough cash for about 3 more years, roughly.
Roughly, yeah. And part of the reason they extended that runway guidance is because of that shift we discussed earlier, moving to the licensing arrangement with PowerCo instead of a joint venture.
Because licensing is expected to require less capital from QuantumScape directly?
Exactly. Lower costs, lower capital requirements compared to building out a massive joint venture factory themselves, at least initially. Their capital expenditures in Q1 were relatively low, $5.8 million, and the full-year guidance is between $45 million and $75 million.
Okay, so managing the cash burn seems key, but what about those tremendous risks the sources kept mentioning?
Yeah, while acknowledging the upside is legitimate, the sources consistently hammer home this profile of tremendous risk.
Yeah.
You really need to keep this front and center. The most fundamental risk, the commercialization gap.
Still haven't sold anything.
Right. QuantumScape hasn't yet made or sold a single battery to a customer for actual use. And Volkswagen hasn't sold an EV using their batteries.
Yeah.
They're still very much in the development and testing phase. Nothing is commercially proven yet.
That's the big one. Beyond that, what else?
Huge development challenges remain. Things like increasing the quality, the consistency, the reliability, and importantly, the production throughput of their separators and cells. Scaling up manufacturing to commercial volumes while hitting all the incredibly rigorous automotive specifications.
Like what kind of specs?
Oh, things like calendar life, how long the battery lasts even if you don't use it. Mechanical robustness, safety under various conditions, abuse testing. It's a massive list. Meeting all of those consistently at scale is just a complex, ongoing grind. It's not just about lab breakthroughs anymore.
It's the engineering and manufacturing reality setting in.
Precisely. Then you have supply chain vulnerabilities. They rely on third-party suppliers for key stuff,
Yep.
like cathode materials, specialized equipment.
So they don't control everything.
Not even close.
Yeah.
And they're exposed to potential disruptions, geopolitical events, rising raw material costs, think lithium, nickel, cobalt prices going crazy, and even increasing tariffs. They noted the additional U.S. tariffs on Chinese imports that came in earlier this year. All that adds complexity and cost uncertainty.
And they're not operating in a vacuum either. What about competition?
Intense competition. You've got the established lithium-ion giants who are constantly improving their own tech, driving down costs. Plus, there are lots of other players, including some backed by big government initiatives, like China's all-solid-state battery collaborative innovation platform, working on alternative next-gen technologies. Things like silicon anode batteries are also progressing.
So it's a race on multiple fronts.
It really is. QuantumScape needs to deliver not just on performance, but eventually on competitive cost, too. And then there's the partner dependence risk, mainly around PowerCo.
What if VW changes its mind or its plans?
Well, there's no absolute guarantee that PowerCo will ultimately sign that final IP license agreement or that QuantumScape will hit all the necessary technical and commercial milestones to trigger it. Their increasing reliance on PowerCo for the scale-up and commercialization path is efficient, but it also creates risk if PowerCo's business plans shift or if, their incentives don't stay perfectly aligned down the road.
It's a powerful partnership, but maybe a single point of dependency too.
It has elements of that, yes. And finally, just the general risks of being an early-stage company. Continued significant losses are expected for some time. They face operational risks too, complex machinery malfunctioning, potential IT system problems, the possibility of product liability claims if something goes wrong later, growing ESG scrutiny, and even ongoing legal battles like shareholder derivative suits they mentioned.
Wow. Okay, that's a full plate of challenges. No doubt about it.
It really is. So, wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you, the listener? We've sort of navigated the ambitious vision of QuantumScape, right? We looked at its cutting-edge solid-state tech, its key strategic alliances, particularly with VW, and its financial position.
Yeah, we've definitely seen significant progress on the development side, these crucial partnerships forming. We've also had to confront those tremendous risks that are just inherent when you're trying to bring something truly revolutionary, truly groundbreaking to a mass market.
It's a classic high-stakes, high-reward situation. You have fascinating technical innovation bumping up against formidable commercial and manufacturing challenges.
Absolutely. So here's something to think about as we close. Given that QuantumScape's success really hinges on overcoming these, frankly, unprecedented technical and manufacturing hurdles to eventually deliver batteries at a commercial scale, what specific signal do you think we should look for? Beyond just prototypes and partnership agreements, what will be the definitive indicator, the real sign, that solid-state batteries like theirs are truly ready to power the next generation of electric vehicles globally? What's that tipping point signal?